So, hello everybody, and thank you for being here on a Friday afternoon and being so attentive. My name's Mike Gorman. I'm from Bitwax. I'm a partner in Bitwax. I will be chairing this discussion on the usefulness of NFTs and the blockchain, specifically for creatives. We are here in Ibiza after all, right? The reason why I live here in Ibiza and the reason why our guest Ryan is here in Ibiza, it's for the music scene, it's for Clubland. There are so many reasons why the music industry should be revolutionized by the kind of technology we've been talking about at this conference, but we're not really seeing it. We're seeing glimpses of what's possible. There are some interesting things going on. But for the most part, the music industry, it's just carrying on in absolute ignorance. Why? Why should this be? But what can people like us on this panel here today do to make Web3, the blockchain, crypto, genuinely useful for creatives? That's why we're here today. But before we get into this debate, let's do the introductions. Ryan, you have the floor.
Hello. My name's Ryan Gorman. I'm the founder of Vitalik. We started off in 2006 doing events at Space. We did the mornings with We Love we kind of did different events with We Love for a couple of years. And then we established our record label in 2009. We're about 40 releases, I think, and we have like a broad range of artists, about 35 different artists across those releases. Then this year we founded Vitalik Studios, which is a multimedia complex just outside Ibiza town. It's a 7-unit multimedia complex consisting of audio suites, video editing suites, and broadcast suites. So under the Vitalik name, we have a large community of creatives between the label and the events and the studios. We have a big creative community. And I guess I'm here today in the role of a content creator and curator. So I wanted to kind of speak about an NFT project that we're working on in conjunction with Odyssey AVI, which is a audiovisual, it's entertainment, but it's kind of like light and sound therapy. And they're based off kind of like the Monroe Institute technology for binaural beats and stroboscopic light. They work with Roxiva, who create these stroboscopic lights. It's all based on kind of the frequency following FFR response. So you can use like light, sound, or vibration, and it mimics brainwave patterns basically. You create states of beta and theta and everything in between. Use hemisync basically to induce brainwave states. So there's that factor of it, and then there's my brother's company, POW NFT, who are the first proof of work NFT creators. They work with the ERC20 token, and they work with smart contracts to distribute mining fees to token holders. So we've kind of, between the three of us, we're working on an audiovisual NFT that kind of is multidimensional in terms of its utility and kind of examining ways that we can use smart contracts for transparent publishing for our artists.
Excellent. Rory?
Hello there, I am Rory. I am the founder of Bitwax. And for anyone who's unfamiliar with what Bitwax is, originally, Bitwax was founded in 2019 as a vinyl record distribution business, selling vinyl records for cryptocurrency, so Bit for Bitcoin, Wax for vinyl. And then slowly, as time's gone on, we've discovered NFTs, it blew our minds, and we've sort of integrated into now with a world of navigating people from the Web 2 world and bridging them into Web 3 through dance music and metaverse events. Currently, we're working with projects and people such as Beatport, Roland, a few BBC Radio 1 DJs, and as of today, I've just launched MDMA, and MDMA is the Metaverse Dance Music Association. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So I founded it in 2019, like I say, and then Mike, you came on board at about January of this year, and since then it's just been absolute chaos. We've been working with some of the biggest names in the industry, and we're just trying to encourage people to utilize this technology and make a better industry for everyone involved. So that's me.
Yeah, a little bit more about me. I'm a DJ and producer. I've been in Ibiza for 5 years. I'm a partner in Bitwax. I initially started working with Rory because I thought Bitwax would be a good vehicle for my own music. I wanted to make some plays with musical NFTs. But then I went right down the rabbit hole. I got suckered into all things Bitwax, all the chaos that he mentioned there, and now I help him run the business. But I became really motivated to spread the message about how NFTs and the blockchain can actually help people, especially in the music industry, help them innovate, help them do interesting things that they couldn't do previously. But there's also the more straightforward thing. It can help them get paid. You know, it can pay the bills in a very straightforward, matter-of-a-fact way that you can't do with other mediums. Hence, we're here today. I think there is a very valuable discussion to be had about how technology can help people, this technology can help people, as opposed to it just being an investment or a gold rush, as we said in the title. So, let's start the discussion. Ryan, we've all seen the value of NFTs go through the floor recently. Although the market's been panicking and there's a lot of negativity, do you think this is a good opportunity for the marketplace to reset a bit and really focus on the usefulness of NFTs?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we saw basically over the last couple of years was something akin to like the dot-com boom, where, you know, anything that was .com had a perceived value to it. And there was kind of a lot of hype and a lot of speculation, and you know, eventually that kind of that crashed, it bust, and the projects that came out subsequently to that were the ones that had real utility and use. So I think that's something that we're kind of seeing now, because it's I think the innovation happens when there's kind of a bear market and people aren't looking at NFTs purely from a speculative point of view. If you want to have something to offer, it needs to have some valid use case. So I mean, with that in mind, I mean, I'm kind of relatively new to the space, so I kind of started to get into it like last year, really. And the market was there was an abundance of quite, in my mind, quite gimmicky kind of NFTs that were devoid of real artistic content. But I saw the potential in the technology from my brother's project, and just like what smart contracts in the blockchain offered in terms of protection of intellectual property and so on. So we kind of went about creating the idea of these NFTs to have something that had real inherent value within the NFT itself, without having kind of peripheral things to give it value, you know. And that's when we came up with the audio-visual NFT concept. And it's something that the current technology allows us to be able to create an NFT that not only has value as a piece of art, but also has a therapeutical kind of value also, in terms of the the audio content alone with the binaural technology, and I mean, I'll go into that a little bit
Well,
more.
no, I mean, we can go into that. So in essence, you're using light therapy, binaural sound, which is something that one would normally do physically, right? We'd look underneath the light machine. I had one of these myself. I love it. It's an amazing trip, but it also has therapeutic benefits. How can you wrap that up in an NFT? Like, I'm curious.
Yeah, so I mean, currently Gavin from Odyssey is creating a template in Ableton, and it's kind of interesting. I know you said you guys were working with Roland, and you know, a lot of the technology that is iconic in dance music anyway are machines that weren't designed for the purpose that they ended up having in dance music, and the real creativity came from pushing the parameters and the envelopes of those machines, let's say. So, I mean, what we're doing with the template that we're creating in Ableton is kind of putting those constraints within a template. Now, the constraint is the template and the rack that Gavin's creating, but also like the confines of like the binaural frequencies and like the frequencies that you need to use to create certain psychological responses. So I think from the creator's point of view, it's like it's kind of a fun project for them because it gets, you're putting these parameters in place, these kind of like that you're enabling them to push and create something that's kind of maybe more than just music. And how that manifests itself for the consumer is, you know, they receive an audio-visual NFT that you can listen to on headphones, and you can get all of the binaural like effects from it. We use Ebo Suite, which translates this into visuals, which you can kind of you can get the stroboscopic effect from the actual NFT itself, or for the select
through a monitor.
Through a monitor, you can get a milder. You can get a milder like kind of version of it. It's when you use it with the Roxiva lamp, which the selected works will be dedicated to these sessions. Then you get the maximum effect from it because you know you're under like a strobe. But it just adds different kind of dimensions to the capabilities of the NFT, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty incredible to me that these lamps that cost 15,000, 20,000 euros, that you can replicate some of that experience via a monitor, and that you can then get the user to customize that experience. Yes, that is a useful NFT, in my opinion. Lucky you're here, really. So, Rory, over to you.
Hello.
I'm assuming you also agree that this is a great opportunity when people are not chasing the dollars or the Ethereum or whatever to innovate.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around in cryptocurrency since 2017. I was around from NFTs from the end of 2020 going into 2021. And the industry to me with NFTs was built on hype. You know, you could sell any SHIT, you know, and people would buy it. And I don't like throwing people under the bus, but for a perfect example of this, everyone's aware of the DJ's disclosure. Now it was their first NFT, so we have to give them that. But they created a track live on Twitch in 2021, and at the end of that Twitch stream, they put it on Zora for sale, and it sold for $70,000. Like, imagine trying to do that today. It was just we had an industry of NFTs built on hype. So now the way that I look at the industry, you have to build, you know, something that's useful, a useful product. The NFT has to do something or enable you to get something in return. So I've got a few examples here. So what one form is, I know I hate using the word, but there really isn't a better word, is utility. And there's two forms of utility that I think you can prescribe to an NFT. Digital utility, so in the form of dance music, issuing stems of a track. So if you release a track, you can release the stems of that track as the utility through an NFT token gate, only accessible to the people who have purchased your NFT. You can give them unreleased dance music, different edits of that track, and anything that's like digital media. So that's URL utility. And then there's IRL utility, so things such as, you know, meet and greets, guest list, backstage access. And just things that turn that piece of digital content from your screen into something that's tangible in the real world. So there's two forms of like URL and IRL utility. Another thing which people haven't been doing so much, and we have all the tools in front of us, is making these NFTs visually, I want to use the word complex, or visually pleasing, visually complex. A great example of someone doing such work is Joelle Snaith, who is Richie Hawtin's visual artist. She creates audio reactive NFTs for dance music. And they are absolutely stunning, some of the work she puts out
Don't
there.
they get minted live?
And yes, yeah. So she did she was DJing, sorry, she wasn't DJing, she's the visual artist. Richie Hawtin was DJing in Fabric in London a few months back, and as he was performing live, she was creating the NFTs live, and then those visual works that were also reacting to the audio of what was being DJed and created, they were then being minted as NFT live. So that's one example. Other examples are just people who create 3D works that can be used and explored in the metaverse in a sort of interactive form. You know, again, that's another formal usefulness, is instead of it just being, and sorry to throw the Bored Apes under the bus, but they're a very easy target. But instead of it just being a photo of a monkey, you know, you can create things that are 3D, stunning, that work in virtual reality, and just visually look absolutely incredible. And one more thing, and this is more to do with the branding of like the usefulness, is the branding such as Pool Suite. It was talked about yesterday, and I strongly believe they are at the forefront of this. They have the most visually pleasing NFTs. They have a great, copyright, and the images they post online are all these 70s porno kind of Miami disco cocaine guys. And it's just everything about them. They're doing it right, the way they talk, the way it looks, and that's another form of usefulness people aren't really taking advantage of right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But it does raise an interesting point where, you know, let's go with the word utility here. That part of the hype, I feel, that got us into this position was I think there's an argument that says there was too much utility. It was like, you're going to get this. What do you think about that, Ryan? You know, where do you stand on sort of how much add-ons there should be in an NFT?
I mean, I think a lot of that is marketing, I suppose. And I guess if the NFT itself doesn't have enough inherent value, then you have to create a lot of other peripheral things to kind of give it value. And so, I mean, I think the thing with all of this is you have different markets and you have different people who want different things from NFTs. But for me personally, I don't really. If the NFT itself doesn't have its own inherent value, then it's not really something that's interesting to me. You know, you're signing up for some kind of rewards program. So, from that perspective, I mean, coming from like somebody who like essentially is like a curator, I think for me to bring like utility or value from the blockchain to my artists, I need to kind of create a vehicle where they can access community with their artwork and come up with like conceptual ideas where they don't need a big like marketing team or a big budget behind it, that they can kind of exist like under their own merit of what that artwork is.
Yeah, got you. So you being a curator as an independent label, what are the kind of challenges that you faced in more recent times with the music industry as we know it, and more importantly, how can we solve them with this technology?
Yeah, so I mean, when we started the label, like streaming didn't really exist. It was the model was selling vinyl and downloads. And you could exist as quite a niche record label and make a, you know, not a huge profit, but a comfortable product enough to profit to exist from having a niche community, a couple of thousand followers or whatever, because, you know, you're getting like, you know, €3 per vinyl, 50 cents per download or whatever. And with the advent of streaming, you could reach a bigger audience, but the revenue streams were much, much smaller, like massively smaller. So in order to kind of exist within that model, you have to reach a bigger audience. And as a kind of a niche label, we didn't necessarily want to broaden the appeal of what we were doing. So the biggest obstacles I think that faced us were streaming, publishing, and piracy, I suppose, as well. And I think the solutions that I see in the blockchain, like for these issues, are basically that you can retain that community on a smaller level, but get more value, like for the content that you're putting out through things like NFTs and through like publishing solutions, through smart contracts and so on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that excites me, well, partly about musical NFTs is actually the boring bit, right? The accounting, the fact that the technology can enable publishing royalties to be paid out. That must be a game changer for or it could become a game changer for someone in your position, right? That at the beginning, everyone's percentage is agreed, and then it gets paid, and it's automatic, and there's no argument. That must be a big thing.
Yeah, I mean...
I just want to jump in. So on that as well, it absolutely baffles me. So I do agree, smart contracts are going to revolutionize the music industry, but it surprises me why they haven't already. Well, so I look at someone, yeah, exactly. I look at someone like Imogen Heap, who is a musical pioneer, who's leading the way with like musical technology, and she talked about this in early 2017 about the usefulness of smart contracts in the music industry, and actually released her song "Tiny Human" on the blockchain in 2018. But like, what have we done since then to actually adopt smart contracts within the music industry, and why haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that you're fairly close to adopting this model with your label. I mean, I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's you really have to kind of look at it from the consumer's point of view, because I mean, even within the the options that are available at the moment, even with blockchain streaming services and things like that, they're kind of the technology is there, but there isn't the consumer experience of those products isn't really fantastic yet.
Yeah.
And I mean, like for us, because my brother was already working with a kind of model of they kind of created this smart contract functionality where they were distributing like ETH back up the chain through through smart contracts into the tokens themselves. It kind of presented an opportunity where like that's something that could be adopted into audio NFTs, for example. So it's having the technology isn't enough, you know. I think you need to kind of create like a good user experience for it as well. So, I mean, for us, we wanted to kind of create the community first and bring out some slightly more conceptual like NFTs and kind of like create a little bit of noise about what we're doing and kind of then adopt the technology into those NFTs.
Yeah, it's a big challenge, like you say, is the consumer. The technology's there, but why bother releasing this stuff if his consumers don't have crypto wallets and don't have any intention of getting them? So Rory, founder of Bitwax, expert in this field, how do we get more buy-in from the lay person, the kind of person who would not come to a conference like this but is interested in music? What do we do?
So this This is a weird way of doing it, and it's something that we've talked about. And I like to describe it as a wolf in a sheepskin. I know it's the saying. What's the actual saying for it? It's
A
different,
wolf in sheep's clothing.
A wolf in sheep's
boy.
clothing.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I like a wolf in a sheep's skin. It's a bit more gruesome.
We've got our own metaphors in Bitwax.
Yeah. So the wolf in the sheepskin to me is we want to. Well, this isn't what we're only primarily doing, but it's an idea of a form of how we want to onboard people in, like unknowingly almost. And I know it sounds a bit weird saying that, but basically we want to embed vinyl records with NFC chips. These NFC chips can be redeemed for an NFT. So all you need is a mobile phone. But to backtrace a little bit, anyone can purchase a vinyl record. You know how to go to Bandcamp, you know how to go to Discogs or Shopify or whatever website and purchase a vinyl record. If we can embed an NFC chip inside of that with an NFT that's redeemable, then we can hide this dragon, this wolf inside of this vinyl record where people purchase it, and they may get the vinyl record, they enjoy that, they can do what they want with that, and if they want to go further, they can pull off the sheepskin, and underneath that is this utility-ridden monster. There is the smart contract world of blockchain, NFTs, Ethereum, and all this chaos. So the answer to the question is we have to hide it. Like you were feeding your dog pills. If it had something wrong with it, you have to hide it in its food and unknowingly give it to them.
Yeah. It's like some sort of a warped crypto gateway drug, right? But seriously, to people purchasing this stuff in pounds, dollars, and euros, that's pretty important. But it's difficult. And I can understand why, because one of the reasons for the blockchain is that it is its own ecosystem that isn't quite the same as capitalism. However, to really get the grand populace to get involved with this, it should be as simple as going on PayPal, really. And you can have a wallet linked to that, and you can acquire, you can pay 20 quid, but in the back end, it's actually acquired something in Ethereum for you, and you barely notice. And then now you've got this object, you start to interact with it, and then you start to maybe engage with the values of the blockchain a bit more and get the utility out of your NFT. Now, let's be honest. Even in the next phase, if this became a successful business model, half of the people who would buy this stuff, they probably wouldn't even engage with it anyway, but it's going to be a long process. And so the final question here, when do you think we're going to get to a point when record labels like Ryan's are going to be really relying on the blockchain as their bread and butter marketplace?
God, when? What a great question. And I could not possibly sit here and honestly hold my hand up and say I know the answer to that.
So arguably it's a very bad question, but there we go.
It's a good question because the answer could be, it could have been adopted back in 2017, such as people as Imogen Heap, who were pushing this forward as early as that. Or it could be adopted in 10 years from now. There's just so many different factors, from wallet security, ownership, understanding the blockchain, interacting, blah, blah, blah. It just goes on and on and on. But it needs to be as simple as possible. And I'm not a developer. I'm not building that. So I don't know how long these systems take to be created and published. So.
Well, if you don't know. But come on, Ryan. Any better guess?
I think the music industry is a good place to start with it, because the most kind of DJs, producers, etc., are quite tech savvy anyway, So I think it's a good community to kind of introduce like blockchain technologies, because I think they're quite open to it, more so than, I don't know, the average person on the street. They're generally kind of geeky. I think if you look at examples like Audius, which I've kind of had like a bit of a vested interest in over the last year or so, a lot of the things that they really offered that nobody else offered, I think they didn't massively highlight, like the fact that it was a kind of a free version of SoundCloud that you had unlimited uploads for and 320 streaming. Like, that doesn't exist on any other platform. But I think people can get too wrapped up in the fact that it's like it's blockchain.
Yeah.
Because like, what does that mean to somebody beyond that? So yeah, I think really, again, utility. I think those are some of the things that people find useful.
Yeah, and maybe it's up to people like us to actually do it rather than complain about the fact it isn't there. So watch this space. Now that's the end of the talk, folks. Thank you for watching and listening. I'm sorry, I cannot open it out to questions from the floor out of respect to the next speakers. We're already running quite a bit over the time. However, if you want to ask us questions, we'll be outside having a beer and you can ask us unlimited questions.
You can ask Rory the questions.
Yeah. And, as long as you keep buying us beer, right?
And unlimited beer as well. I'd like to drink.
All right. Thank you again, folks.
Thank you.
See you.